A lot of people ask me all the time about where is the best place or best source to get food. And I believe that farmers markets are certainly one of the best places to go, because you're actually getting your produce directly from the farmers, and you're getting it fresh, and you're guaranteed that it hasn't been in storage for long periods of time, and so you're getting full benefit. It's best to get organic where possible. A number of years ago, there was a study conducted by a toxicologist by the name of Dr. Samuel Epstein. And what he did is he looked at a supermarket tomato versus an organic tomato. He said that the supermarket tomato, I'll start with the organic tomato, it had 1,932 milligrams of iron. But the supermarket tomato had just 1 milligram of iron. So there's a staggering difference there of about nearly 2,000 times. And what he put that down to was the fact that in a lot of agribusiness, they tend to use NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, as a cheap fertilizer. But the soil needs a lot more nutrients than just those three. And now the supermarket likes to have size, colour and shape, and those nutrients in NPK will get you that. But it also causes the plant to grow the fruit very, very rapidly. It has a lot of pulp, not a lot of minerals in it than it would otherwise have, and so you're getting something that's deprived of its nutrition. Often they would pick them green as well, because you could store them for longer that way, and they put them into cold storage for years. I read in one occasion up to 5 years in some extreme cases, and then they would ripen them with gases, hydrogen sulfide and other gases, and so the product that you're getting not only doesn't taste like a real tomato, it tastes more like cardboard when you're getting it from a supermarket. You're also missing out on a lot of nutrients, and so it's not advisable to get your food that way. It's far better to get it as fresh and as organic as you possibly can. And so I definitely recommend getting organic and buying from farmers markets, or if you're buying from an organic grower or a reseller, like an organic shop, you want to be trying to eat as fresh as possible. You want to be buying it from the day that the person that's running the shop went to the farmer's market and actually bought the produce. So you minimise the opportunity for the food starting to lose its food value effectively. Some of the studies I've looked at with, I think they looked at oranges in terms of vitamin C, that after picking it and leaving the orange for just 1 or 2 days, you lose well over 50% of the vitamin C just with that. The minerals are still in the fruit or the vegetable, that is true, but you certainly lose that. You also lose the electrical energy that's actually measured on the fruit as well, and that has enormous value in the body, and that's an area that hasn't really been investigated too much by conventional food scientists, but there are some people that are doing some good research in that area that's showing that is a real critical component as well. And we are very much under the paradigm of that everything is measured by calories in terms of giving energy to us. And yet we know that there are many cases where that model of calories is not the best, and so people then come up with an explanation and say, well, there's empty calories. Well, yeah, it's got a lot of calories, but they're empty because they're not providing you as much value. Well, what it's really saying is that that's not a really great way to judge foods. I mean, you could have something with a lot of calories, like vodka, for example, and you could enter a marathon, drink a lot of vodka, but you could have some celery sticks with very little calories. And the celery sticks will give you a lot more energy throughout the day. So because the body's running on chemical reactions ultimately, not calories as such. That model of looking at calories was something that we had well over 100 years ago, and we still use that today as a good guide of in terms of saying, well, how much a person should eat, in terms of these foods. And it's no doubt that if you're having a lot of oils and fats, that the calorie model in that respect is certainly of value, because the body does break down fats, and that does give you energy, and in fact it's quite interesting when you're looking at nutrients in food, that a lot of things like fats tend to get minimised, or they tend to get dismissed. And a lot of people avoid foods like avocados, for example, because they say, well, it's the fattiest vegetable, and I avoid that. And yet it's one of the, ironically, one of the healthiest foods that you can eat, and it's actually very good at pulling acids out of the body and giving you huge amounts of energy. In fact, Stu Middleman, who ran across America in 11 days, ran the equivalent of 3 marathons a day for 11 days, broke a world record, was running on mostly avocados as his fuel supply, as well as having barley grass and wheatgrass. And he said that the avocado was like a slow-burning fuel that burned all day long, but it didn't have the acidic ash that the high sugars and the high proteins would otherwise have, that his competitors were having, and they were suffering all the symptomologies of breaking down, inflammation, swelling, tearing of ligaments and tendons, which are all symptomologies of too much acidity. I don't actually use a Brix meter myself. I know a number of people do use them, and they look at the effectively the sugar level in the produce to see how fresh it is. I know a lot of supermarkets actually use that as a way of seeing effectively just how much nutrition is in the food. No, it's not something that I actually look at. And it's interesting because that's also an area of controversy as well, because from my perspective, if you have a high amount of sugars, it doesn't necessarily I think translate in that you're going to have a lot of minerals per se, and having a lot of sugars isn't necessarily a good or a positive thing. And for example, I know that with some of the carrots that have been grown now recently have got a higher sugar level than what we were growing, say, 100 years ago, and that's not a great thing. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why now when people are going on juice diets, they're recommending not to have carrot juice because of the high fructose effectively that's in there, and because you wouldn't be having the green juices that are a lot more alkaline. So that's where I have a slight departure from that. Now I know there are a lot of people that are very vehement about using the Brix meter. In fact, I know some of these people myself, and look, I understand that there is a lot of research in that, and people have used that as a method. Supermarkets are using it, and a lot of other people are using that as a way to judge foods. But I think that we need to go beyond that, mainly because there's more to the food than sugar levels. Well, as far as how we should set up a standard for testing of foods, if it was up to me, I would say that first of all you want to be adhering to the organic standards. I think that it's extremely detrimental to be putting pesticides on crops. It's detrimental to be using chemical fertilizers instead of natural fertilizers. And so I believe that should be halted. There are ways of checking the quality of the product by effectively measuring the mineral content is one way. Vitamin content. You can do random sampling. I think is one way of checking the quality of product. It's a destructive form of testing, of course, but you only would have to take one or two as a sample out of many tons of product, to get an indication of where the product's at. But I think that's a good one, looking at mineral content, vitamin content mostly, and also electrical content, measuring that. If you do that, I think that's a fairly good indication.